Then fuck with Woody. So
Been
that
a
he
while.
screams.
All right, we are live on YouTube. Just want to give the shout outs to the millions, the
That's right.
masses. All right, we're gonna go
Masses.
in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Shufflepod. I'm Woody.
Hey, I am George.
Yeah, I'm DJ.
And I'm Jeff.
Were we supposed to hit go?
So
I know.
funny.
I could kind of tell Woody's like he was thrown off the fact that I didn't say
That you didn't say anything.
Yeah,
right?
I rushed. I tried to rush through it so that you didn't have a chance to say anything.
Oh, I was fully aware. I purposely didn't.
It was perfect. I'm like, he's not going to do it today. I know it. He's not. No.
Nope.
Oh, my. How's everybody?
Oh.
Not bad, man. How about you?
Been good. It's weird. It's only been 2 weeks since
Yeah.
you've been on.
Not too shabby. And
Yeah.
we haven't fought.
I
In
know.
like it's been
Crazy.
2-3 months, probably.
Maybe today.
So,
Well,
Maybe
it's
today.
been like 3 months and an hour
Right.
because of
Oh,
daylight
we're
savings.
definitely fighting today.
No, less than an hour because we
less
sprung
than an hour.
forward,
You're
so
right.
we
Fall
lost
back.
it. Yeah.
It's because the farmers need
Right.
more time.
Fucking
for their
farmers. They did. But before we get started, can I give a shout out because I was on another podcast this week and he shouted us out a few times. So Ed Money Live is a guy I used to work with, a friend of his. He's got a podcast for a long time. Since I am one of their patrons as well as Shufflepods, they invited me on, had a good time. Give it a listen. That's Ed Money Live.
now, where can
Thanks,
you
Ed.
find Ed Money Live?
Same as us everywhere. You can check it. He's got edmoneylive.com. He's on Podbeam, Spotify, everywhere, just like we are. Just if we're there, they're there. Just look them up.
All right.
What's it about? Like, what is it?
Basically, same thing that we do. We start with a
Why are you
topic.
promoting them?
Yeah, competition.
Well, no,
Fuck.
it's not the same as us. It's just a podcast similar to what we do. Like,
But not quite as good.
right, just like us. They start a topic and never talk about the topic.
Got it.
Here's what I'm thinking.
Direct competition.
Right.
How many people do they have on their show?
Depends. There was 4 of us when I was
Perfect.
on, but usually it's
We're gonna
5 or
fight
6.
them.
yes. Oh, wait,
All
though.
right.
Wait, though. When Jeff was on, there were 4.
Right.
Right.
Oh, that's fine.
right.
So he
Yeah.
just
Jeff can fight
sits it
himself.
out.
Look,
And
we're
yeah, Jeff could just beat the shit out of himself.
they promoted us. I'm promoting them. Just giving
That
them some fair
escalated
play.
quickly.
Yeah.
Like on I killed a man with a trident. No,
So
that's
who are these people?
What's that?
Who are these people?
They're
How do you-
okay. So
Right.
a guy I used to work with, they call him Farmer Ron. They all grew up together. Then
Farmer
Ed
Ron.
started his show on a radio station, like a late night talk show with just him and his friends and stuff. That's a late night with Ed Money.
Oh, shit. So
And then
he's
it just
way
kind
more
of
professional.
parlayed into a podcast, and that's just where it's
Cool.
been.
See, I
Very
found
local.
Ed Money Live, but it was, I believe, Eddie Money. And
No, it's not.
I was
Eddie
like, that can't be. Jeff
No.
wasn't hanging
Ticket
with.
to ride.
Yeah, two tickets to paradise.
Ticket to paradise.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm
Ticket to
gonna-
ride was a monkey.
That's not him. That's not him.
That's not him,
Not.
is what you
Well,
to be
I
clear.
mean, I'm just saying I've never seen them both in the same place at the same time.
Okay,
So,
okay. So you
Son
can't
of
be
a
sure.
bitch.
It
He's
might
Eddie
be
Money.
right.
See if he can get us 4 tickets.
So Woody has
To
been
paradise.
Yes.
cock teasing us.
Nice.
Well, I figure if we're pimping out shows, let's have a little talk about a new show that's on the Shufflepod network.
Oh,
Would
yeah.
that be the 12th fret? Is it?
That's what it's
It
called.
is.
12th fret.
That is mailing
Nice.
out our first guitar pick for the pick of the week. Uh-huh.
We basically
Okay.
what we've done is we've consolidated the best parts of the Shufflepod, George and I, and
The best
Oh,
parts of the
What happened
shuffle
to your
pod
thumb?
and made a show without them.
I'll get into it.
then we picked like a good topic, guitars, and that's what we're talking about. So if you guys want to hear more of George and Woody, it's on the 12th fret.
And
So
Woody's
podcast.
in the middle of writing a song, and he's gonna sell the rights to Dick Bullets, and we're gonna perform it live on the Shufflepod.
Let's do it. So Woody and I went out to lunch yesterday,
We
and he's
did.
telling me about these guitar picks, and he's showing me pictures, and he's like, "I just stopped by George's house and dropped them off."
I didn't even
Drop
know
off
the
a
guy's
whole
like a
bunch of
ninja.
them. Yeah,
The guy's
And,
like a mole ninja.
I said, "Cool, let me have one." He had all kinds of them. He goes, "Oh, I don't have any." I'm like,
I
you
gave-
just had. How many did you give to George?
I don't know. I think I bought
Several
100 of
hundred?
them.
Yeah.
No, I gave him like 50.
I got four little boxes.
Okay. And he knew he was coming to lunch with me right after. And he didn't give me one. I'm like, you selfish son of a bitch.
You know, he did the same thing with the podcast, the Shufflepod stickers, right?
Yes,
He's like,
that's right.
He
that's
comes to
right.
my house for something. I'm like, hey, you got any stickers? No.
Well, and he sold off. Remember the time?
Why don't you have them on you?
Do you guys remember the time he invested our money?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was that.
Mhm.
There was that.
No, I'm just kidding.
In
I
Shufflepod
think-
stickers.
Do you remember the time that the Shufflepod bought me a what is it? A virtual reality helmet?
And we've
for,
never done a
virtual
show.
reality? Yeah,
And then never talked about it again.
yeah, it's so good.
You know
I
what?
love that thing.
I
Is it
played on
fun?
it. I played
Yeah.
on mine yesterday.
I actually
played
got
golf.
sick. I was on the roller coaster 5 times.
Oh Jesus!
I had to literally throw it off my head and run to the bathroom because I was like,
They're amazing.
Keep a trash can next to you, George.
I
It
play with
saves a
Coops
lot
once
of-
in a while.
I attached like a feed bag. It's like one of those vomit
Yeah.
masks.
The
Coop
fact
had
that
a
you
really
made it
fun
through the roller
recently.
coaster like 4 times before you had to throw
Right.
is amazing. Because like I did the ISS, the International Space Station
Oh,
one,
dear
That was
God.
and
good.
within
That
like
one
5
was good.
seconds, I was like, "Whoa, God!" No.
Did you spacewalk?
I gotta look that
Yeah,
one
I
up.
tried. Yeah.
Oh,
That looks
that's
fun.
So
I ran through my front window.
Naked.
No, I wish. How great would that be? Like,
That
I'd be
would be
like
great.
watching virtual porn, run through the window with a little boner.
So yes, hold on. Before we get into the topic, yesterday,
right.
Tasha won tickets to a murder mystery.
This is right where I was going. So
Nice.
Yeah, it wasn't. Okay.
yeah.
She won tickets to a murder mystery at work, and we were planning on going and everything. We were getting ready.
She was
And-
planning on going. He was trying to figure out a way out of it.
Yeah.
So he
So-
cut his thumb off.
All of a sudden, it's like doors open at 5:30. Show starts at 6. It's 4:35, 4:40, right in that range. Gibson decides to climb up on the toilet and pull the top of the toilet off.
She's going to upper deck you.
Oh.
Your kid's
So-
going to upper deck you. That's awesome.
He pulls this thing off, drops it, it breaks in half.
Oh,
Big giant piece of porcelain. I'm pissed. I go pick it up. I'm like, I'm gonna put this, like, see if it fits back together, and I'll glue it tomorrow or something. Yep, fits together nice. Okay, cool. I'm gonna set it down. Slice my thumb wide open while I'm setting it down, right before we're supposed to leave. Blood is just pouring out. I'm like, fuck. So I go to the sink. I'm running it under. I tell Tasha to come up. She gets me a towel. I wrap it up, put all kinds of pressure on it, and go straight to stat care.
Oh, God. How many
Wow.
stitches?
No stitches. They glued it.
yep.
They
No
gave him a
shit.
cookie
I
and a kiss
told
on the
him-
forehead and
I
told him
told
to get
him
his ass
Yeah.
home.
Told him I was in a hurry. I walked into stat care at 4:55, and I walked out of stat care at 5:10.
Could have saved himself a trip and glued it at home.
15 minutes.
Now,
Well,
what
if
he's
I'd
not
have known-
saying is he collapsed at the desk. Lost a lot of blood. Boom.
No, there was just nobody there.
That's
If
awesome.
and
You
they
just
were
need some,
closing, so they wanted to give
Super
me- Well,
glue.
I would have done that if I'd have known it was going to be glued, but I thought
Did it burn like hell when they glued it?
It burned like hell when they put the iodine on, but not at
Ooh,
all when they glued
yeah.
it. So they must use a kind of glue because I've glued cuts and it burns.
Yeah,
like
no, it hurts.
fucking
So-
shit.
Do you
Yeah.
know why super glue bonds skin instantly? Because it was designed to bond skin instantly. It wasn't
Yeah, I
designed
know.
for anything else. It was for.
I know, and
Skin.
I would have glued my own.
No, I'm
if I
sure you
would've
would.
known.
We're just giving you a hard
But-
time.
You know that, that new skin. That
Yeah.
you ever try to put
That's all-
that on?
That shit
over a
It's
cut?
sucks.
So
It does
Dude, it
nothing.
hurts so bad.
It is, yeah.
And
we
then
use it at work a lot.
And it peels off in like 5 seconds, so you got to keep reapplying it, and it takes
Yeah.
an hour and a half to dry.
Yeah,
It's
that's
horrible. I
mine
hate it.
doesn't.
so. How
I
long?
haven't-
How big was your cut? Where did it go from? Like,
Almost an inch, and it went from like almost the tip
oh
of the
God,
thumb
that's the worst.
down.
Yeah.
And you're
It's
gonna,
not-
it's gonna bust open. If
It
you
already
wouldn't have
did.
got
It busted open last night as I was
Mhm.
buttoning my shirt to leave. Like 10 minutes after he did it, it busted open. I had to
God.
redress it.
Is that your bowling hand?
It
It's always
is.
the bowling hand.
It's
But
always
like
the
his
one.
work, he does a lot of like small manipulation to like metal, like around like grinders
for this
and stuff
week.
like that. Yeah, I was gonna say you're
I don't care. Whatever. Can't do it this week.
You'll be all right.
Well, I'm glad you're okay though, and I mean
It's superficial. It didn't go as deep as I thought. So
yeah, but that shit. Oh, I
I
remember
thought
I was
it did.
cutting onions and I cut through, into my thumb, and that fucking thing bled and bled.
Yep.
when you first do it, man, you think the worst. You're like, fuck.
Well,
Get
that's
me in and
how
out in 15 minutes.
Jim did that. My brother, he was taking off a window decal with a razor, and he sliced his thumb literally from like on the side though,
Yep.
from tip down to the knuckle, and he didn't have to have stitches because he I guess it didn't go deep enough or whatever, but that thing was ugly.
Yeah, mine wasn't anywhere near.
So like from the tip to the so like six full inches.
Yes,
At least maybe
Yeah,
12.
like
Maybe
the
12.
size of the thumb, the dick,
Yeah.
size of a dick,
6
the
inches.
average
At least. Well,
penis.
How
It's-
there is a way with the
I'm-
hand that
must
they
be
say.
eight.
What is it?
I usually
Should be
lay it
that.
from the crook of my elbow to my wrist.
right. Which is
But
a
there is
foot.
they say there's a measurement. It's either
They
like
say.
your thumb to the other side or your.
Oh,
Yeah,
some,
if I
I don't
push
know
my
what
said
it is.
that. Some said
If
it's
I
like,
push
okay,
my fupa
but-
in like real far from wrist, I can get to the tip of my hand.
But George has tiny hands.
I do. Very bad. I got to go through fur and fat. It's not
Let's
a good
see.
thing.
Leonard Nimoy. He must have
Oh,
a
yes.
hog.
Look at those fingers.
He must have a hog.
Oh, yeah, he
Right.
does. Yeah, he's got pointy ears.
Right.
It's huge.
That guy's fucking
It's
hanging. Wow.
it's God's cruel gift. He gives like the biggest hogs to the people that are not going to be able to use them.
Right. So
And us machines, right? Right, boys?
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of hogs, Woody's been teasing our hogs all week about a fucking
Right.
A
topic.
little
I know.
bit.
Well, it's actually
Tickle it,
true.
tickle it,
This is really DJ's idea.
He
We were
just
talking
mentioned
one day, like we do every single day on our way homes from work. And he's like, what would happen if you just got dropped off in some point in history? Like just all of a sudden,
You son of a bitch.
boom.
this is my
this
topic.
100% your idea.
I just didn't know that's what you okay.
So let's say, okay, for our little thought experiment here, you are just taken from right now to 1850.
Like how we were talking on the phone.
sometime-
You go to bed and you wake up.
Yeah,
So
you
you
wake
have
up,
no
it is
control.
1850, you're in a field.
1750 though,
No,
doesn't it?
we're doing 1850.
Oh,
you guys have been watching Doctor Who, haven't you?
No.
no.
But
This feels like it. Just
What-
Quantum leap.
Yeah.
what could you
boy.
what could you do like with the knowledge you have, just the knowledge you have, no cell phone, because your cell phone's not going to work. You might have your phone on you, but none of it's going to work.
Middle of
What
the
could
field,
you do?
1850. That's what you said.
Yeah, what could you do? Like, what could you invent? What could you
Everything. I mean,
okay, how what
Give
could
me
you
one. Because
invent?
this is what we were getting into on the phone.
Like, if you really break
What?
it down, plastic wasn't really invented until Bakelite, which is like the 60s.
right. But
um,
you've got the ideas. I mean, granted, none of us have the full knowledge of how every one of those things was made, but you have a pretty good concept of it, and you could bring that concept to people that would go, "Oh, I can do that,"
This is part of the plan though.
because it's
You
not like
literally get dropped off on your property
right. Give me an
in a
example then.
shack.
Like,
So how do you even contact someone? You've got to take a fucking horse to some city.
So-
like
but
how
give
do
me
you
an
even-
example of an idea that like you could just come up with and
in
make a living
1850s.
on
But
it in 1850s.
well,
you know?
since that's before the car, I would be. I'd be Ford. I'd make the first combustion engine because I
Okay,
understand how they work, and
you're
I'd
telling
find a
me-
machinist.
You know how to make a combustion engine from start to finish.
I know how they work, and I could get a group of people and make it happen. And
I
I'm
see what
also a
he's- I
fucking
see what
engineer,
Jeff's
so
saying
yeah, I could.
Is
I don't think you could.
he could get the people that would
Yes.
understand something.
Yeah, Woody, this is something that and I understand where you're coming from. I fully do. But this is a place that we talk a lot, and it seems like you forget that even though you're by yourself in that field, I'm in Cleveland. Everybody around me is also in their field, and there's about 300 people within 2 miles. It's
well, in
not
1850, Cleveland was a
1850.
port town,
right.
so
I'm
there are a
in-
lot of people coming to and from.
Do you know when gasoline was invented? Because it wasn't
Gasoline wasn't
1850.
invented. Oh no, it was
So what are you going to use to run your combustion engine?
well, I would
It's a
come up
good
with
point.
some form of, ethanol.
I would say
How?
the Irish.
How are you going to come up
How
with a
I
form
can
of
distill
ethanol?
fucking corn, Woody. It's not hard. You're thinking that these things are so difficult. I can make
Whoa,
whiskey in
they
my basement.
are.
I sure as hell can make ethanol in my basement.
Okay,
I know the process of alcohol, yeast,
right? But
sugars.
you're going to make it. You're going to make a
water,
refined
distill it.
enough version that it's going to run clean enough to run an engine.
It
And
doesn't
it's
have to be
sustained.
clean. This is 1850.
I
This
know.
is
I'm
like
not
a
saying
Model
emissions
T.
wise.
He's
I'm
not saying
talking so your
emissions.
engine doesn't blow up. So that
You
it
don't
actually
care. You're just trying to
sustains
run it for
a-
about 5 minutes. How long did a Model T last? Not long, until they refined
lot
it,
more than
and then they
5
refined
minutes.
it.
Well, let me
But-
ask you this. Let me ask you this, Woody. Is part of your premise that it has to work
Perfectly.
like a number one from the
No.
get go, or can
No.
he start the idea
Right.
of owning? Because I think he's on to something of he would have a quote unquote vision of the transportation of the future, right? Is
Right.
what he would say.
But
So
how are
maybe
you
he
going to
first
make
makes,
a living out of that?
but maybe he first
It's
makes a
1850. I
steam
need
railroad.
$3 a year.
I didn't like it. I
But
think that's
seriously.
too modern. I honestly
Right.
think that's too modern.
That's way
why-
too modern.
That's why. No. I mean, 1850s too modern.
Well,
No,
okay,
I'm saying
so let's.
you're going to come up with the whole concept of a combustion engine when all the parts aren't even there yet.
Do
Well, no,
you
no, no.
know
Now-
when Ford invented the automobile?
The combustion,
1890.
right?
So
okay,
you're
so-
thinking 40 years earlier is too much?
But he was
Okay,
already
it's not
rich
40
and
years
had
as in-
access to parts. You're in a field and poor.
Yeah.
right.
I
And
think-
he had connections, and,
Yeah,
and
you
he
have
had,
nothing. You don't know anybody.
Well, I think if I'm gonna take Jeff's side on
yeah,
this here.
because you
Because
came
I-
up with. Yeah,
I
sorry,
think
go.
basically what he's saying is he could draw up he could have in his satchel, because he would carry a satchel in the 1850s. Okay. And in
course.
his satchel, he's got, I like saying satchel. I think I enunciate it wrong, but he's
Satchel.
carrying the rough plans
Right.
of the automobile, of what he calls the automobile. And I think because he's not that far from Detroit from being in Cleveland. Okay.
Right.
So he takes a steamship to Detroit, Michigan. Right.
Because
And
wait, that was perfect, George, and you just said the right thing. Because I take a steamship. Guess how they got to the combustion engine? They went from steam power,
right.
used the same parts and materials, and went, "Oh, let's do this." Carry
So-
on. Thank you.
Let's say he takes his steamship to Detroit, Michigan. Okay. And maybe he meets Henry Ford. Okay. And Henry Ford is talking, him and Henry are having a beer in a
You're
small
100% right in 1850. This is why a few weeks ago when we were talking about this is why I was adamant. If we ever do it, it's got to be 1750 because none of this stuff is invented yet.
Right.
Henry Ford's not alive. We don't know anyone
Right.
that was alive then. I mean, yeah, there's some of the founding fathers that were alive, but I don't know shit about them, and I don't think you guys
Right.
really know that much about
Well,
them either. That's why I was saying.
I saw
earlier.
Hamilton.
But 18, I mean, where you can't control where you end up. So I mean, 18,
Right.
But I think it would be easier in 1850 because I think knowing Henry Ford is alive, you
Right.
could meet him because they're not like
Yeah.
celebrities today.
Right.
They don't have
Well,
armed
and you
guards
could-
outside.
Ford
could
did
al-
not invent the combustion engine. Okay.
No, he invented the assembly line based on the combustion
right.
engine.
He
but
invented- right. The
Who did-
combustion engine was invented.
how do you know?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I stopped to listen to you and
Woody,
forgot what I
who
was, where I
invented
was
the
going.
combustion engine? Then do you know?
Lenore. It was like it
Yes.
was like an 1860. It was
Right.
Which was
His name
in-
was Charles Combustion.
it was- but like the actual engine that we know of wasn't actually invented until like 1876, but like the first prototype of a combustion engine was 1860, and it was like France. So,
but you're arguing with me that I couldn't have invented it in the same time that it was invented.
Okay, Jeff, I'm not arguing that you couldn't have brought the idea to somebody who could have eventually put all the parts together. I'm saying, what could you do to live?
Okay,
yeah.
So here's
like I could have an idea for the light bulb and say, hey Edison, eventually when electricity is available for everybody, we're gonna enclose this filament in gas. And
but that's not what you asked. You asked what would you invent.
That's why. I told you jumped all over my sentence every time I said
you asked what we would invent. I said I'd invent a car
to get by, to figure out how to live.
No, you should have asked, what would you do? How would you live? What's the way that
he did? It's the first thing
exactly what I said.
Asking what you would invent. I'm not inventing anything. I'm building a house. I'm maybe, sowing some seeds for some food. I went too straight with invention because that's what he said. That was the word he used.
DJ, let me ask you.
I apologize. I misunderstood.
Let me ask you this, DJ. Let's hypothetically say you wake up in 1750. Okay.
I die.
What is something that you would possibly do?
I would try to prove to someone that I know all this stuff, but when it comes right down to it, I would be I got all this. It was a comedian stand-up set I saw on TikTok, and he's like, everyone's always saying if I would go back in time, I'd be famous. I'd invent this, I'd invent that. He's like, if I were to go back in time, none of you would have ever heard about it. It's like, I don't know how to do anything.
I think that's possibly what Woody's getting with Jeff's issue is I think we kind of take for granted the things that are invented, and we go, well, it's easy. I just plug my cell phone in. And it charges.
Right.
Exactly.
I don't think
it's all the bits and pieces. Like you're way overestimating what you can do at that time.
Oh, hell yeah.
So like what you should start is like I'd invent like something like pizza. Something that I know all the ingredients are right there. It's not in America yet. People are gonna go fucking crazy over it. I'm not trying to reinvent the car. I invent the yo-yo for fuck's sake.
I kind of thought I would invent the Euro, all right? Or the gyro, or the gyro, okay? Because I would have invented that. I would have had shaved lamb, tzatziki sauce. I'd know how to make that, and the flat pita, all right?
Food is a big angle. It's
a great, because all the ingredients are right there. They're readily available.
What about
you don't have much refrigeration, but you do still have ice boxes.
But aren't they already invented, just not here?
But who's going to get you on it? Like, it's not now. They're not going to be like, oh, copyright infringement on that Euro, George. The Greeks have been making that for 200 years.
Right. What did you say? You said, DJ, you said a tampon?
What about something easy like a tampon? I mean, that's honestly easy.
Instead of sitting on a blood rock, that's probably a good idea.
Right.
But do you think that people would be receptive of something like that? Like you're talking about inserting something into, they absolutely wouldn't. So like that wouldn't work.
I go to like 1750. I've got a couple of tattoos. I'd probably be fucking burned.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying
because like the Islanders and stuff in the Philippines did tattoos for.
Yeah, and I think some Native Americans did.
Yeah, but not Caucasian people. The settlers didn't.
But it's not like they'd be like, "You're a wizard."
No, but they did believe that it was a desecration of their body, so they might
absolutely,
they might take you out and kill you.
Yeah,
it's not like I have sleeves or anything.
Right?
Stupid.
You're not seeing mine without. I gotta wear long sleeves all the time.
Right. But there's so many things that
Now, are we trying to invent something to survive or invent something to be famous in the future?
I'm not saying
I would
do in the future. I'm saying
both.
Okay, so like you're gonna build your house with shit like that. But what I'm saying is like, what are you gonna do to make sure that like you live comfortably for the rest of your life? Like you have some knowledge. You know how penicillin was invented.
When
it hasn't been invented yet.
Right.
My God.
How about I don't know how to invent penicillin though. I just know it's bread mold.
See, on the phone, Woody was talking about inventing ice cream, and that's great.
I thought ice cream, but
how do you freeze
how about the French fry?
Well, like Woody, that's a good call.
Brilliant.
Like Woody said,
Potato
though,
chips.
you've got ice boxes so that you could get, well, not in
I
the
would be-
1700s. That's way back.
I'd be Grandpa Shear, basically. If I could do French fries or potato chips or something, because the potatoes are readily available. All right. I would be like a fucking chip tycoon.
See, the way this works is like
Or the Dorito.
The more modern you pick, the easier it is because there's more technology to work with. So, like, if you're in 1950, fuck, it's super easy. You just invest some fucking money in some stocks that of companies you know are going to be big. You don't have to get the biggest mega ones. Just do Sears. For fucking 50, 60 years, that thrived. You'd be so rich.
That's why I didn't want to go to like, because like I think if we took it all the way back to 1750, we would get to the point where like, all right, we just don't know. But that's we can invent penicillin, but they didn't know about viruses and things like that back then. Right. You know,
germ theory.
They thought it was you know the humors kind of shit.
Right.
You know, like that's why I went to 1850 because I figured there's enough scientific knowledge and medical knowledge at this point that like we could come up with some stuff. So like, what would be like your go-to? Because like ice cream, when it was first invented, it was a seasonal item. It was made in the wintertime.
Right.
If you're trying to prove you're from the future, how would you even prove it?
Because I wouldn't want to try and prove I was from the future because I wouldn't want people to think I'm crazy.
Right.
But what if you legitimately like told a couple people, like close family members or friends or whatever, and you're trying to?
I'm pretty sure in 1850 for $2 they'd sell me out. Like I got $2 in an ox. I got $2 in an ox that says George is trying to say he's from 2023.
Right, but how? Let's say your best friend that you meet or whatever, it's your neighbor. You're telling him this, you're confiding in him, and he's like, "Well, how do you? Okay, tell me something that's going to happen."
So 1850 DJ finds out that Woody's from 2023.
Yes,
and he'd be like, as long as you write me every evening. Instead of call. See what I did there? As long as you write me every evening, I'll never turn you in.
But how do you prove it? Because I don't know anything.
Like that happened you wouldn't be able to do anything that like, okay, tomorrow this is going to happen. But you could be like, okay, in 10 years the Civil War is going to break out.
Right.
You know, Lincoln's.
Yeah, but you got to wait 10 years for this.
Right.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
And who's the next president? I don't fucking know.
And this is maybe like crazy, but. When was the telephone invented?
Don't know.
Okay, so the telegraph.
I know they had
by Marconi was really close to right then. It was like 1850s or so, 1851, 1852.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it was before, but
on the existing wiring that they had run for the telegraph. Okay, what I may do is get with Marconi, and if I could. Okay. And actually talk to him about, listen, here's a different form of communication. We're going to have a switchboard and everybody's going to call into a central number and it would only be for cities.
But wasn't Marconi?
You're way too far ahead of that. He was at the time. Marconi was the radio. He was wireless telegraph. So the telegraph itself, but it was like 1832, but the lines weren't there. Like, you know, you had some lines between major cities, but you didn't have like, it wasn't like something that everybody used or everybody knew about, you know?
See, if you could prep for it, it's a whole nother ball game because before you make the quantum leap, if you will, you could Google a bunch of shit that happens that year.
Right.
What's invented,
that's why I didn't tell you guys what
live.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you guys about this idea beforehand because I didn't want you looking stuff up and go, hey, I know how to vulcanize rubber now because I looked it up on the internet
yesterday, but I didn't know it 2 days ago.
But Woody, you do know how to vulcanize rubber, don't you? I thought you knew how to do that. I thought that was like one of those things that you looked up at one point for no apparent reason.
Don't you just split your fingers?
No.
I know there's some chemicals you're adding to it and you're getting it to a certain temperature. It's just like pasteurizing milk. Like you bring milk up to a certain temperature and you keep it there for a while. What that temperature is,
no idea.
I'm not exactly sure.
So what those chemicals are for the
right, it's like sulfur and stuff that you wouldn't think would go in there.
And in 1850 in my yard in Canton, Ohio, being poor, where the fuck am I getting that?
Honestly, I'm going to go back to ethanol, and not just because of the use for fuel, but because first you've got corn whiskey, you add some mash, and you got a drink. But then
that's
you can
been around forever.
right. But once you distill it further and get it to its higher,
That's
burnable,
probably
then
the
you can
best
sell it
move.
as fuel. And at that point, you no longer need gasoline, and you've totally eliminated an entire issue in the future.
That's
because-
probably the best move of all.
Right,
is
because
the
we've got
ethanol.
we've
It's
got more
easiest.
corn than we can ever use, and we destroy a lot of it every year because it's subsidized for fuel that nobody uses. May as
Back
well
then,
just make it right. May as well make it
Jeff,
fuel.
maize.
Right. Well, no,
But fuel
it was already
for
corn
what?
then.
Maize.
What are you making this fuel for?
Anything, lamps. You could turn it. See, that's the best thing about corn products is you can make it thick like corn oil, burn
It's
it as an
delicious.
oil in a lamp.
Corn
You
syrup.
can- right,
You'd
it's-
start everyone fat way younger. or
Yeah,
way
way
earlier.
younger.
I
Corn
like
syrup.
where your head's at.
And then once they start thinking about, with Ford and what's his name from France starts thinking about the internal combustion engines, instead of going with an oil base, they're
I'm
going to go
sorry,
to
did
the
you say
corn and go,
OnlyFans?
oh, not OnlyFans. I said,
He would
what's his
start an
name?
OnlyFans
From
for sure.
France.
Marconi.
It
Marconi.
starts with corn, then all of
Corn-
a sudden
and it's
people are
corn.
jerking off to images.
Then
So
you can put
here's
it
what
on-
I'm
Right.
thinking.
Then you can put it on Cornhub. You can
Yes, you could invent. You could invent porn.
Right. Well, it's a little too early for that. They're not ready for porn at that point.
Oh, they're always.
They would
ready.
definitely burn you at the stake for that.
No,
Or at least
what about
Worth it. Worth it.
what about the
I mean,
chain
on that
link
steak that's
fence?
fucking cracking it.
the chain link fence.
Seriously, what about the chain link?
I don't know
fence?
how to do that.
What
but-
if you could get with an iron worker, that not a blacksmith, but whoever at a factory,
Did-
and say, I want to get rolled up chain link fence
Did
because
they
of
have,
all the industry and but I don't think
Dude,
they do.
that's
They have wrought
genius.
iron.
It
They
is
have
actually genius. 1855 is when it was invented. So all the materials are there. The world is ready for it. You
Okay.
could just be 5 years early.
What
on
was invented in '55?
it.
the chain link fence.
Yeah, I didn't know they had that type
How
of
do you know
steel that
that?
you could wrap. How
I
did
just put it into my computer. I just looked it up.
No,
Right.
because if you could get the start on the chain link fence,
Yep.
all of a sudden you're telling people, listen, instead of driving stakes and running
Planks and shit. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
not chicken wire, but
lay in
for-
post.
exactly. And then all of a sudden you can go, listen, you want to have a couple chickens and stuff, you want to protect them from foxes. Let's go ahead and I'll show you how to build the chicken wire or the chain link fence, whichever one. It's rolled up into a bale so that you can take it, put it on a cart, and you could put them out in your field, unroll them, boom. I would do the chain link fence and probably the gyro. That's it. I'd have food covered and fences, the 2 Fs.
I have a
Fences and fun.
I have a McChris in my yard.
I would call them a
yeah.
Chris,
Yeah, I mean, I have one.
and I would call the gyro the McCrispy. Hey, try. Wait till you put your mouth on the
Yeah.
McCrispy.
Yeah. What about that? What about fast food? Coming up with the
Oh.
idea of pre-making the burgers and fries and
But how do
Wow.
you preserve them?
Yeah,
you don't need
You
to
don't
preserve
have
them.
to.
You just pre-make
Why?
the burgers and fries so
Right.
that when people are at lunchtime, you're going to have a big line of people. You come up and you just hand it out.
George, have you ever worked fast food?
Hmm.
Kind
No.
of similar, but instead of
I'm
having
not a
the
monster.
instead of having burgers in the freezer, you've got them prepped and ready. You've got fries that are
Right,
blanched
right.
and sitting there in tubs. Somebody comes up and orders it, finish it
Yeah.
off.
It's a
Instead
good
of
idea.
ordering making it as they order, you have a very small menu. You
Right.
pre-make the stuff and you just set it right out.
Woody just
Welcome
invented
to
the first
Woody's.
food cart.
Yeah,
Pulls it up
welcome to-
by. It's a little wagon he pulls up with his one oxen.
I think fast food. I think the first McDonald's kind of idea is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, think about that. McDonald's,
is.
it was the first fast food, right?
Now,
It
there's
sure
a
was,
lot
yeah.
of ideas. I
Just-
guess my biggest hang up is how do I get out of my house? How do I meet the people? How
I
do I
think
get
you-
in contact with the right
I
people?
I
think
think
with
you
food,
have to go to a city.
I think with
because-
food, you don't have to worry about having contacts and all that. The ingredients are readily available. That's why I think that's a lot easier than the internal
Well, because
question.
there's a good chance you die on the way to a city. Because Cleveland might not do it. You might need to go to New York. That's a trek, man. That's not something you just go, oh, I'll be there.
So if that being said, if I were in that time, knowing what I know now, I wouldn't be going to New York. I'd be definitely going to Cleveland or Pittsburgh because those were the cities of industry at that time. That's where everything started. Rockefeller, not Allegheny. Help me out. Carnegie, Mellon, all these guys that had huge industries started in this area.
Well,
so
and
you
I
want to
think
come
that's-
here, meet them, and get their backing.
You have Detroit, Michigan, Cleveland, Ohio. Akron is, the rubber capital of the world.
Right.
So you have in this area within, even if you got to take a horse to Cleveland, all right, from North Canton to Cleveland, it takes you an hour to drive there. Say it's a 5-hour trek. Okay. You legitimately could go there because they have like job fairs and stuff. Like the World's Fair and all that stuff. You could go because I know the World's Fair came to Cleveland in hold on.
While you're looking that up, DJ, you could get on, since you and Woody are always together, you could just jump in his food cart and prep his burgers while he's driving you to Cleveland.
This is true. That way we could just talk the whole way.
And you're good.
Sure.
Stop at each place and
It was just like the last time he was unemployed and I was truck driving. We just talked all day long.
All day.
Yeah, honestly, I think
Never mind.
food's the way to go.
1936.
1936.
But you could find the World's Fair in Missouri or
Philadelphia or whatever. Yeah.
Chicago but I think food's the way to like really it's a low cost to get into. It's something
If you put your fast food place next to the factories,
right?
Roach Coach.
Holy shit, Woody.
But you got to refrigerate this shit.
No,
they didn't have refrigerators. That's the point.
They had ice boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what Woody
absolutely.
Right.
Get your ice delivered and just like everybody else was at the time.
You just go up to Speedway and get a couple bags.
That's right.
Convenience store.
The thing you're forgetting is at that time, he wouldn't have a refrigerator. He'd just have cows walking behind his cart because that was how they preserved their meat. They left it alive.
You keep it alive and then then you
so
cut a
you
leg
kill
off
one
and
and then you feed
it.
Right, exactly. You feed the it's hopping with 3 legs.
The real problem is when you get down to 2 out of the cow.
Yeah, you gotta do kind of opposite so it can shuffle.
In theory, you could salt the meat.
Right.
Then soak it prior to making it. Then add your oil and boom.
I would just feed the cows salt water, then butcher them. Done.
They'd all be sucked in.
I love George's idea about potato chips and French fries. Like, I think potato chips are brilliant.
Food's going to be your best angle. Food is going to be your best angle because it's easiest, cheapest.
Yeah, and if you're in the area of industry,
once you have the money that you've made off of the food industry, the potato chip industry, or whatever, now you can start getting into like, okay, I could build a factory where I can make engines. Or
I think George could survive this out of the 4 of us in the food industry because he cooks way more than any of us. Like cooks. I don't know about Jeff, but at least me and Woody, we don't.
I cook daily, but I don't like
George.
I guess Woody. I used to love cooking.
I was gonna say I think Jeff is
my biggest
single father. I guarantee he's cooking more than the 3 of us put together.
Yeah, but simple stuff probably.
George I make all kinds of shit.
Stuff.
Dude, I always do recipes all the time.
But this is my point, though. I don't think I'm good enough just because I have the idea.
Right.
There is no like copyright.
Right, you don't have to worry about any of that shit.
If it were
no, but what I'm saying is I don't think I would make it good enough. I think as soon as other people that were really good cooks saw what I was doing, they'd be like, well shit, I'm gonna do that too. And I'd be just lost. But not that I couldn't survive.
You could definitely make a hamburger.
Yeah, I'm not saying I couldn't survive on my food cart, but I wouldn't be rich.
He wouldn't be McDonald's.
Right.
I think if you move
I'd be overtaken by somebody better.
I think if you move fast enough, you could do it. You could
if you city hopped and really flew around, maybe.
I would have
how big do you need it to be to make your own fortune, Like you don't need to be the guy who invented McDonald's. You just need to be the guy who made $5 million in 1850.
Right. Because that's like 10 billion now.
Right.
Right.
Oh man, that's
But like I was thinking about toys and stuff like that, like the yo-yo, like the hula hoop.
yeah, but
know,
those
The
ancient
yo-yo
yo-yos
seems
been
real
around
old.
It is. It's been around
Let's see.
since string was
I
invented. They
don't
found
think
it in
so.
caves. Yeah,
You
it
checking
was a
yo-yo?
weapon.
I'm looking
What's
at it
up,
right now.
George?
1866.
What, George?
1872.
Okay,
The yo-yo?
the yo-yo for
1873.
mass production, yes,
The
but
first government issued postcard.
not first government
What
issue
if
postcard.
you invented the postcard and then all of a sudden that,
Go ahead, George.
I thought we
I'm
were talking about
sorry, no,
yo-yos.
I was like squirrel. I'm still thinking of things to do.
No, these are all. That's a
But-
great idea. But if you were transplanted back to 1850, you wouldn't have been able to look that up. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
no prep. Like, how would you actually do it? Like,
I
we're
would
looking
go,
up dates.
well, how I'd do it is I'd stand in the middle of the street and be like, y'all ever hear about a postcard? Where I come from, it's all right. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Talk about
No,
what
it's,
you're
it's
thinking.
fine.
I'm
But
still
the
gonna
yo-yo
interject.
was invented in 1866. It wasn't popular until the 1930s or 1928.
So that's like Lincoln.
But that was
sort of
because
stuff.
people
Yeah.
like learned how to do tricks with them, and then
Right.
people saw them doing trick stuff, which you already know. Like I there's a few yo-yo tricks I know how to do myself. I could invent the yo-yo.
What is
Wasn't
a
the
yo-yo?
yo-yo invented as a weapon, though?
That's what I thought too.
No,
Like
It
I-
could have been, but the first patent for a toy yo-yo was 1866. So it wasn't out there.
Right. I'll
So
I'll
the
give you
yo-yo-
that, but I'm pretty sure what like George said, I'm pretty sure it's like way really old. Like the first one was made out
So
of
the yo-yo
stone.
is the children's yo-yo is the airsoft rifle of today,
Yes.
essentially.
Right.
Nice.
Okay,
Way to go.
that's
Oh, speaking of, you could make like airsoft stuff because you know how to make a pump and a whatever. I don't know how you're gonna build it, but wood.
What about
Wood handle?
seals? Like
There is
rubber's
no
not
sound. There is no sound historical evidence that yo-yos were ever used as weapons.
and
it's
where
so
was
Notion
bad.
is
Duncan?
believed to have been a marketing gimmick.
You ruined my entire childhood.
Sorry.
DJ's on my side.
DJ, where was Duncan yo-yos at? Was that in Ohio somewhere?
I think it was Duncan, West Virginia. I don't know. I have no.
God,
fucking idea.
I would have. I would
I
have gone
sounded
to the
confident.
ring fighting for that. I would have. You
Speaking
had me
of
convinced. Just
speaking of Duncan and food, invent the fucking donut. Holy
absolutely.
shit!
I don't know.
fried dough. Fuck yeah!
Yes.
I don't know how to
Everybody
make
likes
dough,
fried
Woody. I think you overestimate my knowledge of things.
You can figure it out though. I
No, no.
mean, it's sugar and flour and stuff.
Well, not
Go.
only that,
I
but, like
didn't know
other
it had
people,
sugar.
other people are making dough. You
Right.
add sugar and then you throw it in a deep fryer.
Right.
The
Then
Duncan
glaze it.
Toy Factory, Middlefield, Ohio.
Would
Nice.
they have done
Nice.
some shit if it had been Duncan?
Duncan,
West Virginia?
Ohio.
Just saying.
Now I want to get a yo-yo. God damn it.
God damn it. So we're going to do yo-yos, gyros, French fries, chip.
I thought George and Woody both would focus on guitars.
The guitar has been around like 1300.
But you
Well,
could,
wait a
you
minute.
could probably make them.
We could do the truss rod.
Right.
Yeah.
You could invent the truss rod in the guitar for straightening the neck or putting
It's even
relief in
better
it.
that they're already invented because how would you make a guitar string? But you don't have to because they're already
Cat
around.
gut.
Yeah. Catgut at the time.
Yeah, but I'm
It's
saying
not-
they're already around, so you guys know how to make a guitar base. Well,
Right.
George does. I don't know.
But I
Woody
don't.
could be with somebody.
They're very complicated. They're very precision. I don't know if you could just like George and I could with hand tools just go into a shop and come out with a guitar.
I think if you had help from like a
Luthier,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna say who
what the
was
fuck is that?
who
guy
they
who makes
make
guitars.
guitars, right?
Well, I was
Um,
talking about just like a
or
woodworker.
lutes, which is the name.
Team
Luthier.
up with somebody and you guys brand your own guitar and
Yeah, I mean we could definitely do something like that. But then I think you need a lot of capital to do that. And I feel so that's why the food thing or like the really simple toy thing like the hula hoop is such a good starting place to start out at.
God, I'd be such a grifter.
Well, the hula hoop
They'd write a
was
song
invented.
about you.
Yeah.
What do you
If
think?
memory
Grifter?
serves me right, the hula hoop was
Real
invented
son of a bitcher.
I'm listening,
from a
George.
rim company.
Right. I believe you're correct. It was from like a bicycle rim company.
Yeah.
What was Woody?
The
Or
hula
what was
hoop.
George?
Tell him
The
again,
hula
George,
hoop.
since I was the only one listening.
The hula hoop.
Excuse me.
Woody said the hula hoop. It would have been. I think it was It might have been Schwinn, the Schwinn bike company.
I don't remember which one.
No.
Had the
That would be
idea.
a killer invention.
Yeah.
was
Crazy to
Whammo.
make.
Whammo made it.
No, Whammo made the frisbee.
No. Well, yes, they did. I'm sure they did. But they also. Okay, March 5th, 1963, the hula hoop, a hip swiveling toy that became a huge fad across America when it was first marketed by Whammo in 1958.
Yes, but how was it invented? That's what George was saying. Not who put it out on market, but how it was invented.
If you watch,
Oh.
do you ever watch those shows like the Toys That Made America? That's one of the ones that they
Right.
talk about a lot. And it was just a guy from Whammo, a toy maker, who came up with the idea.
Oh,
I would invent that game with the hoop and a stick that you see kids like running down the street hitting the thing.
yeah, it was back around those times.
I think they already
That was a
invented
hit.
that.
I was gonna say, I think that's real old.
How about
Yeah.
the pinata full of Jello shots?
There you go.
Jello.
You had me at pinata.
How to make Jello.
Wait,
I do.
Elmer's glue.
Jeff knows how to make everything.
I do. I know how to make it. I can make it from bone meal and water and yeah.
You
Oh,
might be
Jell-O?
a serial killer.
Yeah.
I know. Here's some of my human Jello.
I
There's a
read
chance.
the ingredients on food containers and then I learn what those things are and go, oh.
Honestly,
I just got the
it's-
name of the show.
It's just boiling down bones.
Displaced in Time and Human Jello. That's going to be the name.
Time for human Jell-O.
I would invent like the coagulated shit that grows on ham after it gets cold.
He said I'd invent
Ham
that.
jelly.
I'd invent it. I'd be like, hey,
Ham
you want to
jam.
try something delicious?
Delicious.
This
Spread
is
it on.
coagulated blood balls.
You spread it on your bacon
Oh,
toast.
Good Lord.
All right, so I was thinking bicycle, but that was 1817.
Yeah.
So that's a little.
Missed the boat.
You
Yeah.
could invent the first motorcycle then.
Yeah, but
No,
Or
because you need a
motorized
combustion
bicycle.
engine.
right. See,
Or
you guys
steam
need me.
powered.
I'm bringing my corn oil and corn ethanol.
Steam powered motorcycle. That sounds super safe.
Wait a minute. What
a
about
steam engine in between your legs.
the Cleveland Steamer? You could invent the Cleveland Steamer if you're in Cleveland, Jeff.
You could.
Like,
I am not
listen,
inventing
here's
that.
the deal.
No.
I'm into chicks pooping on glass coffee
No.
tables.
Oh,
That's my kink.
I thought that was a glass bottom boat. Never
It's
mind.
called
that is. The Cleveland Steamer is like
On your
directly
chest.
you. Yeah.
Oh, that's
There's no
right.
glass. There's no glass.
Yeah, there's no glass.
They
You can always
it
do
right
a.
in Cleveland.
Never mind. We're not getting into
Could
that.
you?
What about the reclining chair, like a lazy boy chair?
Oh,
See,
shut
but,
the hell.
Uh,
That is.
You probably just Googled that, right?
I did.
Okay,
Just to make
but
sure that it was the right time.
Yeah.
I would have. Yeah.
you're displaced in time. You have no fucking idea.
I'm not saying you don't
Right.
know what's. You'll know what's invented because you will be there and
Right.
see what's invented.
And he's
what's
gonna
not
look
invented.
around and go.
I'm not looking up how to create it. I'm
Right,
looking
he's
up
like-
Would he
when it
be
was
like,
created.
I hate
Would you
straight
know?
backed chairs? I
Would
need
you
to
know though?
recline.
Let's say you put your time and effort into inventing the recliner,
Yeah.
because you're just in, Norton, which is basically just Barberton, especially back then.
Shut up.
Sorry. You don't have any because you don't really have any money, so you don't have a recliner. Your neighbors are poor; they don't have
Right.
recliners.
But they
So
have
you
chairs.
think you got this great idea, but you don't know that it was invented 3 years ago, and you trek all the way to some big city and
TJ,
just to
I
see
don't
that
need
everyone
to
has
be
it.
the
Right.
only person making this. I
Right.
need to sell enough of them to live in a mansion. Like
Yeah,
that's
but I'm
all I
saying
need.
it's already invented.
Right,
So-
but
Right, but I've
you just
already
said-
sold. I have a
Right.
billion of them. By the time that somebody knows that I've come up with that idea that they
Right.
came up with 3 years
Right.
earlier.
and you just made the good point is your neighbors don't have it, so you make one cheap enough that your neighbors can buy it, and now you're rolling in dough because
Okay,
you're
I
making
guess-
the cheap version.
What about
That's
the
like,
home entertainment
I
center?
guess
There's no.
surround sound.
What about the webcam? How
I'm
about-
thinking.
George just put a tiny little stage in his house, and he's
What about
coming in and
Match.com?
DoorDash.
door.
Uber.
I would put on
Honestly,
the back of
part
my
of the
horse.
food cart. Part of the food cart could be.
Here's
local
12 sacks
delivery.
of flour.
Right.
You know,
When did the milkman become a thing? You could just start that.
Probably
when women
always.
became lonely.
19 my dairy was
When women
created-
became lonely, he said.
That's when the milkman was invented.
Yeah.
My dairy was started in 1901, and
Fire
he used to go
departments.
around in a cart delivering milk. So
Yeah.
Were there fire
Right.
departments? In
And-
1850, there might have been, but
I think that was just like a public, like a
Yeah, there was a
group,
brigade, a fire brigade.
There were- brigade.
a volunteer brigade, and they
Right.
just had buckets of water.
You know, like they still have in small towns like Norton.
No, we
in
share
Barberton.
we share a fire department with Barberton. So.
Smokeless powder.
Okay, but
Smokeless-
how are you going to?
I wouldn't know how.
Do
Yeah.
you know what ingredients are in smokeless powder?
Powder without smoke.
Oh, you just take the smoke out of it. That's
Yeah.
Damn.
fucking
Brilliant.
genius, George.
You pre-smoke it.
I mean,
Oh, shit. Hold on, guys.
What about the
ooh, a smoker.
like a
also like-
cartridge bullet?
Oh
When
my
was that
God, he's
invented?
disappearing. What the?
He has no head.
My furnace kicked on and got real loud.
That's
He's
a good
like,
point.
Turned it off.
That's a good point, Woody. George, you would be perfect to invent the bullet as opposed
Yeah,
to
like
a
a cartridge
musket
bullet.
shell.
Absolutely, but how do you come up with the actual casing? It's real precision.
yeah.
The
I mean,
first
they
ones weren't.
They already have
Good
black
point.
powder.
Good point. They weren't.
They already have black powder cartridges. At
How
that
about the
time.
shotgun?
Right,
The shotgun
exactly.
was already invented.
Okay, that was already there.
'Cause they
What
used
about
paper
1750? Was it in 1750?
So in 1850, were they using? Was it like muzzle loaders or
What was that, Woody?
muzzle
Thanks.
loaders?
Thanks.
They just get so many of them.
I'm just loading them two at a time.
two at a time, and all of a sudden,
Just
So they
explodes in my face.
Right there. I almost had it.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
John Moses Browning invented the repeating rifle. Okay, in 1864, I believe.
Okay.
I
There
need
you
the
go.
There you
shotgun.
go,
When was
yeah.
the shotgun?
Like I think
I think the shotgun is simple and non-precise enough.
Your
You
s-
could do
the
it.
single,
Right.
if you did a break barrel single action shot, shotgun, you could
Right.
all of a sudden in in World War I, we had the pump shotgun, the trench gun.
Right.
So it's around that time. You got to figure that they had paper shells and stuff.
Right.
that's what I was thinking. Like, did they have paper shells in 1850s?
Yes,
Because like that's okay. So
and they
so
had
all you had
brass
to do-
shells.
they did have brass
Yeah.
shells. Then. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, I
because
didn't
you
know.
had bore-loaded rifles and stuff. Because you had the Sharps rifle, and I want to say 18. Wait,
Yeah, because you got to remember, Woody, we
Civil
had
War-
rifles when we moved. What was it? The Great Expansion or whatever the hell they call it. The Manifest Destiny when we moved across the country, which was during the 1800s. So they'd advanced from muskets to rifles, but they were just primitive.
1848.
the Civil
Sharps
War.
rifle.
They were using
Well, that was-
The
stuff
first
like that.
recorded use of the term shotgun was in 1776. So
Okay.
obviously
Right.
it was invented before that.
Well, and
It's
that's
a
the
different
blunderbuss.
type.
Say.
Right.
And that's that
Right.
you have to look at. You can go back to the blunderbuss,
Right,
which
where it
is
Anything done
also
in there.
yeah, and all shotgun. The they called them scatter guns and stuff back then. You could cast lead pellets. In 1848, they had the Sharps rifle, which could hit a target up to 1,000 yards. So that's a precision rifle at that point.
1,000 yards.
Yeah,
That's a long fucking way.
it is. It is. But and they had like glass, like
Yeah, so
scope that you could put on top of it. It wasn't great.
the
Right.
basic premise of the shotgun was like the 16th century in Britain. So
Yeah.
Right.
that's out.
I
I just
guess
think
you
that's
could
easy
take-
enough where you could do that.
Yeah.
But you could take like ideas that are things that are out there and improve them with the ways that we have improved them in the future. That like you
Right.
just you don't have to be an
Exactly.
original idea altogether. You can just upgrade
Absolutely.
ideas that are already
Good
there.
point.
Put the
Good
two
point.
together, Woody. Instead of inventing those rifles, rifling the barrel.
That might
Yeah, when did
actually
that
be.
happen? That's
right?
a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't have
That's
it, you go, hey, what if
probably-
we rifled the barrel so that
That's
bullets
probably
go
a more an easier, quicker way to get rich.
right?
To make a name for yourself, to not get in on the ground floor of the invention, but
Right,
to improve it to the
it.
point where it's actually useful. That's probably going to be the move.
Right.
Yeah,
You
because you
gotta
could
look
walk into a gun maker and be like, "Hey, let's rifle this barrel," and and see how well
Woody
that
the
goes.
barrel. Woody
It's Woody the barrel.
That's
Yeah.
Woody.
Winchester.
Dude, we're inventing this shit. Hey, you got to DJ the barrel. Jesus.
Duh.
1866, Winchester invented the first lever action rifle. John Moses Browning in 1892 or 94 made it better. So you can actually then, if you could do that, because they won the West at that time. So you're looking at around that time, you could get in on the cartridge. You could invent cartridges and stuff for the rifles. So that might be the way to do it. Fast
Clips.
food and guns.
Clips. Sorry, I know George likes the term magazine, so I just wanted to say
Magazines.
Well, actually, the clip would have been in around
Barrel
that
rifle.
time, because a clip is the actual rounds, and they're slid onto a clip, and they're stripper clips.
Barrel rifling, 1498.
Oh, we were all like,
Never mind.
We
I
didn't
didn't
really
know.
put it in guns,
Right.
right? Because muskets and shit didn't have it.
Right.
No,
Maybe they did.
confused.
I don't know. I've never seen them. I've seen
I
a
mean,
musket,
I've
but I've
got-
never looked down the barrel.
I've got two pistols.
George,
That were
look
my
down the barrel of the gun
great-grandfather's.
real quick. Look down
What's
the
that?
barrel. Look down the barrel of one of your guns real quick. That'd be
Hold
nice
on, let me
rifle.
take it out of my pocket here.
I'm kidding.
There's a
Let me
bullet
know.
obstructing it. Hold on, let me clear it.
Yeah, clear that out and keep looking.
Oh, fuck.
No, Woody, I think this was a hell of a good topic, man.
I do too.
Yeah. I'm sorry I misunderstood
Woody.
it at first.
Woody.
No. But you know what, Jeff?
But your mind-
I'm still agree with you.
Right.
You could surround yourself with the right people
Yeah. And invent
and
something
make sure
like
that
Yeah.
this invention gets pushed forward. Where Woody's premise of the whole thing was, you're basically in a field, you got nothing.
Right.
You invent the French fry, that kind of thing. And
Right.
I both
Your
ways.
mind always goes to stuff like that. Like I'm going to invent penicillin. I'm going to invent the combustion engine and stuff like that, because you kind of got a good idea of how it works. But like the chances of you being able to come across the right people and the right materials at the time, and I guarantee you there is way more to a combustion engine than we know of.
Absolutely, but not a simple one. Like I've taken apart and rebuilt, single and two-stroke engines. They're not that complicated.
Right, but you're doing it with the parts that are already invented and already there.
Right.
Like if you have to come up with the idea of
The cast block of the engine.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Like, but again, draftman/engineer, I know how to do that. Like I've got the knowledge. I might not have the skills, but I've got the knowledge. I can find a blacksmith and go, here, this is what I need to do. Instead of bending the metal, I need you to form it. Use this sand cast of whatever, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it can be done. It's extremely difficult. And yes, you're right. It's probably easier just to make a hamburger cart. Fuck yeah, all the time.
I would spend my days searching for Charles combustion.
Right. I mean, I would probably go broke and hungry before I ever got to the, final product. But
right.
I feel like Woody kind of like the way we were talking about improving an invention. I feel like that's what he did to this topic, because I came up with this and now he's getting all the credit because he decided to improve it by saying, let's make it a show topic. And it was just a phone call.
Nice work, DJ.
It was first it started as
good job, Woody.
Is their nightly pillow talk, and all of a sudden he's exploiting their
He's telling my secrets.
So, next week we're going to talk about DJ's kink.
This is what actually happened. It was DJ goes, so Woody, what would happen?
And Woody said, "Oh, nothing."
If next week's topic is what we talked about yesterday, it's going to be about ambiance, Fredericks of Hollywood, and dildos.
That's not wrong. That was the conversation. Is
Holy shit!
All
Tune
right.
in next week when we talk about
he's not. He is not kidding.
lingerie and dildos.
And
The
my
best
wife,
part-
my wife was
Yeah,
in the
Melissa
car.
was there. Yeah.
And
Just-
Melissa was like, "My
Oh, she's-
favorite one is the one with the little dolphin tongue."
And in my car, all that was there was the 3-year-old.
Oh, and the 3-year-old's chewing on mommy's dildo. It's a teething ring.
Tasha was not in the car. Oh no! I was by myself.
Oh,
Yeah,
because
you're
it
by
was,
yourself.
I was
Yeah.
running over to my parents.
The kid was in the
Oh.
trunk.
Yeah,
The kid was
by
fixing
myself.
the toilet that DJ couldn't fix.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why.
The kid was standing in the water.
Yep.
All right, boys. Anything else before we sign off?
Nope, that's
I
it.
don't think so.
No.
All
Yeah,
right.
we hit an hour.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at us.
Exactly. That was
Woo.
really good.
Absolutely, guys. All right. So I'm going to stop the
Well, let's
audio
sign
part.
off, everybody.
You didn't
Bye-bye.
even say
Talk to you
bye.
later.
Peace.
Peace,
We'll see you
everybody.
next time.
All right. I'm going to end the broadcast on YouTube.
God, I hope my volume's okay. I didn't do a check on anything.
No.